Don't do that. You'll be like, man, I don't want to pay to have my clothes washed. So you'll just start turning things into that.
Can't bring your own.
Clothes?
Turn on.
Okay. Unit 3. We are in functions. This is day 1. Today is going to be a very broad overview that has nothing to do with functions to start.
But it's information you need to know.
Yeah.
It's like a foundation day.
So
It's information you have.
we will get to functions today eventually, but we need to hit the building blocks first. The first building block that you have been doing since somewhere around 1st or 2nd grade, which some of you are like, I can't believe we're gonna do this. I'm not naming who sounds like that, Sammy. Not naming anybody. Sammy's like, I don't sound like that. Is a coordinate plane. Okay? Everybody should know how to graph on a coordinate plane. We call them grids, X, Y. Listen, a coordinate plane is formed by 2 axes. This is an axis. This is an axis. When we have plural of an axis, they are axes. Okay? The axis of a coordinate plane have letters to them. The horizontal, which goes left and right. What letter is associated with that horizontal axis?
Is it X?
It is X.
Like an X something?
Yes, X axis.
There you go.
B, what's the vertical?
Y-axis.
The y-axis. In a coordinate plane, you will always have an x and a y axis. Okay? The spot where the x and y axis intersect has a specific name. What is the name of the point where we have the x-axis and the y-axis intersecting? Oh, come on, my 7th graders got it last hour. It starts with an O.
It means to start.
R, or, I, or,
Origin.
Origin. You're so smart. It is the origin. That point, which is called the origin, has an ordered pair. And we're going to talk about ordered pairs in a second. But what 2 numbers do we associate with the origin? 0, comma, 0. That is the origin. Everybody with me? We will be graphing in all 4 quadrants. Quad meaning 4. Here's a quadrant, here's a quadrant, here's a quadrant, here's a quadrant. We'll be graphing in all 4 quadrants. What will we be graphing? We will be graphing what is called ordered pairs. Okay? An ordered pair is always in the same order. One letter will always come before another letter. I feel very confident that at this point you guys can say the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y. What? W, X, then Y. Which comes first? X, then Y. The same thing happens in the ordered pairs. It is always our X value, and then our y value. Everybody still with me? So, if I were to say, let's graph, and I'll use this crummy pen marker that Mrs. Armstrong tried to throw away. Let's try to graph 3, 4. Yeah, I should have thrown this marker away. Where you at, Ms. Armstrong? Making fun of you. Come on back. I'm not. I love Mrs. Armstrong. She makes me a better teacher. So, first off, we have to know what numbers are on this coordinate plane. Well, our positives go to the right and up. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If positives go to the right and up, negatives go to the left and down. Everybody with me? So now, how do we graph 3, 4? Where do we always start at? Where do we have to start? The origin, 0, 0. So with my pencil tip, I'm just going to kind of lightly hover it over 0, 0. The first number is 3. That's on my x-axis. So I count 1, 2, 3, and I don't put anything. Because now we have to do the y-axis, which is up 4. So from the x, I go up 1, 2, 3, and where that point is my finished off. So this is at 3, 4. I might have made fun of you on video, but I said I loved you anyway. Because we used your marker that was broken.
That really wasn't broken.
Yeah.
It's the first mistake I've made this week, so it's okay.
I think it's the first mistake I've ever heard you make. I'm pretty sure you might be perfect. I don't know. Except for that alpaca farm.
Yeah.
So, let's do example 2. Let's go -5, 0. So again, we hover over top of the origin. The first number is -5. That's my x-axis. X goes left and right, y goes up and down. So my x, we have to go to -5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's -5. The y value is 0. So does it tell me to go up or down?
Stay there.
It doesn't tell me to do either, so it tells me to stay there. Everybody with me still? Yes?
Yep.
Brendan?
So if it's 0, 0, it would just stay in the middle.
Yep, it would be at the origin. Yep. So let's graph these 3. Go.
When you're done with them, check with your neighbor. Make sure that you've got the same locations, okay? And if you got different spots, then put your hand up and check with me. Pardon? Did you check with your neighbor?
Okay.
Check with your neighbor, make sure you both have.
Let me have David.
Yep.
Come on up and graph the third one. Brendan, go ahead and graph the fourth one, and Sammy, graph the fifth one. Go. Blocking this so you can't see students because that's what I do. You're not allowed to be on camera, but you can hear my wonderful voice.
Did you say this one's mine?
Yes. And have a seat, yes. That's good. Whoopsh. So, we graphed our 3. Let's see. We graphed -4. So we start at the origin. We go over 1, 2, 3, -4, down 1, down 2. Good. Close enough. -4, 2. -3, +5. Hover over the origin. 1, 2, -3, up 5. Good, I love it. Last but not least, over 1, 2, 3, 4, down -1. I would move the point down a little bit farther. But what Sammy made sure she did was she wrote the ordered pair. She said, hey, listen, I know that that's where it's at. Even though it might not look like it, I know it's at 4, -1. Very good. Questions on graphing from ordered pairs. You will also have to know how to graph from a T-chart. T-charts will look like this or this. Notice X is either on the left or on the top. X comes first. When we read from the left to right or from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. Oh, we can't see this. Okay, so X always comes first on the left or on the top. I know most of us are like, Sir H, I know how to do this. Okay, great. So I could say 3, 1, 5, -2, 0, 4. Let's put the same numbers over here. 3, 1, 5, -2, 0, 4. These are still ordered pairs. Even though they are not in parentheses with commas, these are still ordered pairs. What do I mean? 3, 1 is really 3, 1. I might need to go like this, but I know 3, 1 can be graphed. So what's my next ordered pair, Mason? So if 3, 1 was my first one, what's the next one? 5, -2. So I go 5, down 1, down 2. What's my last one, Brooklyn?
The last one is 0,
0, 4. So 0. I don't go left or right because my X says it's 0. My Y is up 4. That's how we would graph from a T-chart. You're like, but Mr. H, what does this do for us? Nothing today. Okay? Today was the basics. We're going to build up. You're going to need to know how to graph. Okay? Questions on graphing. Now that we've gotten the fundamentals down, let's go into our actual unit. And we want to know about functions. What is a function? So go ahead and copy down. Get caught up. Today is a lot of notes. Usually I try to give you a little bit of time at the end of class. You're not going to have homework today, but there are a lot of notes. We're going to be kind of hitting this pretty hard. So a function. What is a function? So, the definition, and I hate doing this, the definition will not make sense yet. Just copy it down. Okay, is everybody with me? The definition will not make sense yet, which I hate doing in math, but I need to give you the technical definition first. A function, a relation between input and outputs. Each input value must have its own distinct output. And again, this should not make sense yet because you don't know what inputs are, you don't know what outputs are. We're still wondering what a function is. So it's a relation between inputs and outputs. That's it. Again, I know, you're like, Mr. H, I'm confused already. I know. I try not to lead you astray. I told you already. You're not going to understand it. You still need to have it copied down. So, let's start to understand what some of these words mean. Input values. The input values are the numbers we have for x. So in our t-chart, all of those x values were inputs. So my x values are my input values. Every x will be an input. Everybody with me still? So, I know, here we go. If my x's are the inputs, what do you think my outputs are? And I should see almost every hand in here taking at least a wild guess. What do we think the outputs are, Alyssa? Which values?
The numbers?
The numbers with which variable?
X.
Well, that was the inputs. What about for the outputs? Carly, can you help her out?
The Y value.
The y values. So, if my input values are the numbers we have for x, the output values are the numbers we get for y. So our y values are our output values. So now let's read this a little bit differently. A relation between x's and y's. Is everybody with me? Because I've retake inputs are my x's, outputs are my y's, yes? So it's a relationship between x's and y's. Good so far. Each x value must have its own distinct y value. So
think of it like the T-chart we just made. There's an X and there's a Y. And you will see those values in one of those charts. Okay, that's what we're talking about.
So, a function can be written a function will be shown with, and I don't know the best way to say it. I'm telling you right now, I don't know the best way to say it. You'll see a single letter and an X. The way that you'll see a function is with an italicized F and an X. We call this f of x. That right there lets me know that it's a function. So it'll be shown with f of x. Does it have to be f of x? No. It could be g of x. It could be h of x. Any of those. Yes, sir.
So it could be any letter of the alphabet.
Besides y, yes. Okay? So we will know it's a function when we see f of x, h of x, g of x. Okay? All we want right now, though, is this definition. We have our x's, we have our y's. Each input has exactly one distinct output. So watch what we're going to do here. Here's going to be the question for the next 2 days. Is it a function? That's the question. Is it a function? Without graphing, we are going to be able to see if it is a function. 0, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 0. So I've now given you 4 ordered pairs. And I'm asking you, is it a function? For it to be a function, each x value must have its own distinct, which means different, y value. How many zeros do I have in my x spots? How many zeros do I have in the x spots?
1.
1. So I've got one input of 0 that's giving me an output of 3. How many 1s do I have in my x spots?
1.
Just 1. How many 2s? 1. How many 3s? 1. The x's must be different. If you learn nothing else today about functions, for it to be a function, the x values must be different.
And so Mr. H isn't writing that down right now. Well, maybe he is. But make sure you get that down with this example.
So, the x values are all different. Therefore, this can be a function. Because my x values are all different, this can be a function.
And that's a have to, right?
Oh, it has to. The x values have to be different for it to be a function. Okay, make sure you have that. Sorry, Alyssa. Is it a function? So I've got, do you have a question or do you want to answer?
I have a question.
Go ahead, ask your question first.
I just forgot.
Sorry. If you think of it, you raise your hand again, okay?
Okay.
So, here's my points that I have. I have 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, negative 1, 1. Write those down. What's your question?
So are we looking like, so if there's one that's not a function, or is the whole thing just wrong? Or are we
Correct.
just looking for that?
Yep, as soon as, and I'm going to talk about it right here, but if the x values aren't all different, then it is not a function.
Okay.
Okay? So, we have these points. We need to have these written down. Here's what I'm going to do to you. Do for you. I am going to write x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y, because that might help some of us. Now I'm going to ask you, which numbers repeat? Which numbers repeat?
The X
Which,
or the Y?
yeah, which value, X or Y?
Y.
The Y. My outputs repeat. Do my X's repeat?
No.
Because my X's are all different. Because 3 is different than 2, is different than 1, is different than 0, is different than -1. The X values are all different. Therefore, what? Therefore what? What is this?
What can you say?
Function.
Yeah, it's going to be a function. It is a function. The only time that it can be a function is if my X values are all different. Everybody with me? My X values have to be different. Let's go one more example. And then I'm going to let you guys try some on your own. So again, is it a function? You should salivate when you see these types of questions that say, is it a function? Because this takes so little effort on your part. Takes so little effort on your part that you should be like, I've got this. For it to be a function, what has to happen? I need hands. For it to be a function, what has to happen, Megan? All the X values have to be different. And if you need to, I am absolutely fine with you coming over here and saying XY, 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 XY. So now I know which one's my X values, which one's my Y values. Everybody with me? So, it's a yes or no question. That's it. That's all I want right now is a yes, Mr. H, no, Mr. H. Is it a function?
No.
Mr. H.
Hands up.
Mr.
I don't do the shouting out thing. Hands up. Maddie. Is it a function? I need one of two words. Yes, no.
No.
No. Why? Why is this not a function?
Because two X values are the same.
What two? I like how you said that. There's two X values that are the same. Which two X values are the same? Good.
-2.
This -2 is an X value, and it has an output of 0. But then all of a sudden, -2 has an output of 3. The X values have to be different. So, this is not a function. Questions, concerns, problemos. We are going to start graphing functions. You're going to see different ways of telling whether it is a function. Right now, it's all about saying, is it a function, yes or no? Questions. I lied earlier. I told you you would not have homework. Yeah, I'm a liar. But I think that you guys can do this. I'll leave it up here on the board. That way I can take a picture of it or show it on camera. So, here's the only question, and if you don't finish it before you leave, shame on you. Is it a function? There's your problems right there. 5 problems. Nice and easy. Is it a function?
Question. Then you said that we were going to do something and then, right?
I said we're going to do some practice problems. I decided to give you practice problems first
Oh.
as homework.